Hey friends, it's Corey from Hey Let's Make Stuff. Welcome back to another live premiere. This is not just a premiere with my blogging bestie Angie Holden. This time the two of us have gathered a bunch of our favorite content creators to create one big mega premiere. This mega premiere is to promote the debut of our new Crafting Camps HTV sample pack. Angie and I are big fans of the B-Flex Give Me 5 HTV. This is an easy to use, low time, low temperature HTV, and we wanted to give you an easy way to try it out. If you look in the overhead view here, you'll see that you get a bunch of fun colors in the sample pack. We have a light pink, navy blue, sort of a mint green, a color called Cyclamen, which is sort of a dark pink, a medium yellow, and aquamarine. You'll get these 6 12x12 sheets along with 9 SVG files with a commercial license for just $16.99. That's just $2.38 a sheet for this really awesome HTV. For this video, I'm going to be using one of the sheets from our sample pack as well as a sheet of adhesive vinyl. This whole video is really good for beginners because I'm going to be talking about the difference between HTV and adhesive vinyl. I remember when I first got my cutting machine, I had no idea the difference between these two types of material. I remember not knowing which one was which. If I got a piece that was unlabeled, I was really confused. So if you're new to the cutting machine world, this video should help demystify what HTV is and what adhesive vinyl is and how to use each and what projects they're good for. HTV is short for heat transfer vinyl. It's often called iron-on vinyl, especially in the Cricut world. And then you also have adhesive vinyl. Now these may seem like they are two similar products. They are both a type of vinyl, but they really are very different and they have very different purposes. HTV has a heat-activated adhesive on the back, which means that you're going to need some sort of heat press to be able to apply it to a blank. Adhesive vinyl, on the other hand, is basically like a big sticker. So it has a sticky back and you apply it using something called transfer tape. Now, when you're looking at the sheets straight on, it is a little bit hard to tell the difference. So I'm going to show you the key differences between these two types of materials. HTV generally has a side that is shiny, which is this side, and a side that is more matte. The shiny side is actually what we're going to call the carrier sheet. And the carrier sheet is there to hold the HTV in place while we press it to our project. HTV in general has a more flexible feel than adhesive vinyl. So if it kind of does this wobbly thing, that's probably HTV. And then finally, in the overhead view, I'm going to show you that it's very difficult to separate the layers. So we have our layer of HTV here, we have our shiny carrier sheet on the back, and it just is not very easy to separate those two layers. Now let's take a look at adhesive vinyl. This one also has a carrier sheet, but it's white and it's generally paper. So this is really the easiest way to tell whether or not you have HTV or if you have adhesive vinyl. So if it has a paper backing like this, it's adhesive vinyl. Adhesive vinyl is also more rigid and less flexible. So I don't know if you can tell the difference between what I did with the HTV here. This is just not quite as flexible and floppy as that HTV. And then in the overhead view here, you can see that generally the vinyl is easy to separate from the backing and the vinyl is going to be sticky like a sticker. Now let's make a couple of different projects so you can see how HTV works versus how adhesive vinyl works. For the HTV, we're going to be making this cute little tote bag, and for the vinyl, I'm going to be putting it on this little bucket. I'm going to be using one of the free files that comes with this HTV bundle, and I'm going to go ahead and hop into Cricut Design Space and set up our files. I've uploaded the file to Cricut Design Space and I've resized it to fit each of my projects. So I have the big one over here for my tote bag and a smaller version for my bucket. For this project, I want to keep it really simple, so I'm going to click on my first image here. I'm going to go to Combine and I'm going to hit Weld. This makes it one single image. I'm going to do the same for the other one. Then I'm going to make them two slightly different shades of blue so they cut on different mats. We'll go ahead and make that one and this one here. I'm also using my Cricut Joy Extra, so I'm going to change my machine up here. And then I'm going to hit Make. For this project, I'm going to make it on the mat. And now you can see I have it on two different mats for my two different materials. This is our bigger image, and this is iron-on vinyl because we're going to put it on that tote bag. Just for this image, you need to mirror your project. 99% of the time, you're going to want to mirror your HTV because you're going to flip it over and place it down on your project, and that way it will be right reading. For adhesive vinyl, however, we don't mirror our project. So you just want to make sure you have your HTV layer mirrored and you do not have your adhesive vinyl layer mirrored. Click Continue. And then for our material, I'm going to go to Browse Materials. I'm gonna type in iron because again, in the Cricut world, it's called iron-on vinyl, not HTV, and I'm just going to choose this everyday iron-on. Now we can start with that iron-on vinyl. I've cut both of my material pieces down to fit on this smaller Cricut mat. Now let's talk about how we are going to put this on the mat. So again, we have the shiny side and we have the matte side. The shiny side is our carrier sheet and the matte side is the actual HTV. So we are gonna be putting that shiny side down. So the matte side is up, shiny side is down. So let's put this on our mat, just like this. And that's it, we can load it into our Cricut and cut. All right, I've cut off the excess vinyl so I can use it in another project. I'm going to flip my mat over and peel back. This is my favorite way to remove almost every material from a Cricut mat because it means that you don't end up with curling. Back here in Cricut Design Space, we need to change our material. So I'm going to go to Browse All Materials and I'm going to go to Vinyl and I'm going to choose Premium Vinyl, Permanent Glossy. And then for adhesive vinyl, instead of putting this sort of shiny side down, we put this paper side down. So I'm going to put this on my mat here, just like that. And then we can go ahead and cut our adhesive vinyl. All right, I've trimmed off the excess off of my adhesive vinyl and it's time to weed it. Then you're going to need a weeding tool. There are quite a few different types of tools. I am a classic Cricut weeding tool girl. There's also one that has like a little hook on the end. There is a weeding pen. Some people just do it with a needle. There are a lot of ways to weed. This is my preference, but if you have a different preference, go for it. So we're gonna start by weeding the adhesive vinyl, and I actually like to weed most of my projects on the mat. So I'm going to basically dig my weeding hook up here in the corner, and I'm going to carefully peel back. I do have these tiny dots on my eyes, and I wanna make sure I'm not losing those sorts of things. Now I am right-handed, so I like to start in this top left corner and peel down this way. If you are left-handed, you may want to start over here and go down this way. If you start at the bottom and go up, you may find that your hand starts to stick to this vinyl. So let's go ahead and peel this back here. Once you get it with your weeding hook, you can just peel it back with your hands. Remember that this is sticky, so it will stick to itself, it will stick to the mat, it will stick to all the things. So if you have a lot of vinyl here, you can trim it off with scissors if you'd like. But this is not a big enough project where I think I need to do that, so I'm just gonna peel this off. Then I'm gonna go with my weeding hook and pull up all of these interior pieces. Then, like I did before, I'm gonna flip it over and peel it off the mat, just like that. Now, because I like to weed on the mat, I'm actually gonna put this one back on the mat here so that I can weed it. Again, I'm gonna start in that upper corner. I find it just easier. And this feels very different than the adhesive vinyl. The HTV really sticks to this carrier sheet, so you do need quite a bit more muscle. So I'm gonna just pull it off here. You can kind of go at it however you'd like. And once again, you'll see that this is backwards. We have our right-facing adhesive vinyl here, and then our HTV is going to be backwards. In this case, it's the carrier sheet that is sticky, whereas in this case, it was the vinyl itself that was sticky. And then once again, when you have the big stuff weeded, you can weed inside the letters. Now we have both of our transfers. You can see that the HTV is on a clear carrier sheet, and our adhesive vinyl is on that paper carrier sheet. Let's start with the application of the HTV. So I have my Easy Press mat underneath my tote bag here, and I have my Easy Press set to 285 for 5 seconds. This is a much lower time and lower temperature than a lot of HTV, so make sure you're checking the manufacturer's instructions for the brand that you're using. One of the reasons I really like this B-Flex Gimme 5 is because it has a very, very quick press time. Generally, it's 4 seconds, and that's what I would use on a t-shirt. However, I find that I need that extra second when I'm doing something like a canvas tote bag. It just works a little bit better. But still, overall, it's 5 seconds. It's such a fast press. And again, I'm only setting it to 285, which is a good 30 degrees lower than a lot of other HTV. I'm going to start by pre-pressing my tote bag here. We're just gonna press it for 15 seconds or so, just to get any moisture out of the bag and give ourselves a very flat pressing surface. Then I'm going to add my transfer here. So I'm just gonna eyeball this. You can use a measuring tape if you'd like. I like it more toward the top of the bag itself versus down here at the bottom. Let's see, maybe right there? I think that looks good. So I'm just going to press it for that 5 seconds at 285. Lately, I have found I like all of my HTV to be peeled cold. So I'm gonna wait a few minutes and then peel this back to reveal our final project. All right, it's cooler, so let's go ahead and peel this back and see how it did. All right, this looks really good. Now I always like to do a post press, so I keep a piece of cotton around and then I'm gonna press it again for another 5 seconds with as much pressure as I can to really get it embedded in those fibers. And that is the basic process for using heat transfer vinyl. It's pretty easy. You do need a heat press, but you don't need a bunch of other things, and you can make all sorts of really cute projects. Now let's do the adhesive vinyl. And the transfer process for this is very different. So like I said, HTV requires heat. The adhesive vinyl is more like a sticker. Now, if I wanted to actually pick up all of these individual letters and put them on my bucket, it would take forever and I wouldn't be able to get them straight. So we're gonna be using something called transfer tape. Transfer tape is basically a carrier sheet. So we're gonna be adding this clear carrier sheet that has a white backing to our image here so that we can then put it all on the bucket in one piece. All right, so I'm basically just going to peel this clear sheet away from the backing. This is trash. And then I'm going to carefully put this clear piece on top of my image. You want to cover the entire image, just like this. Then I'm going to use a scraper. And again, there are different versions of these. There's a version that has like a felt covering. You could also just use a credit card. But basically this helps burnish that carrier sheet, that transfer tape, on top of our vinyl. You can also flip it over and work it from the back. Now this can be really frustrating depending on how well your transfer tape is working, the type of vinyl you're using, the age of your vinyl, the age of your transfer tape, the phase of the moon, I swear. Sometimes it's really easy and sometimes it can be difficult. Just go slowly and carefully and you should be able to do it. So I like to peel my carrier sheet away from the back. So I like to peel it over and then I like to peel this carrier sheet away. And I find that works a lot better than trying to peel the top or the vinyl layer from the backing. Let's see, just like that. All right, and here I have my bucket. It is sort of awkward, but we're just gonna make it work. And we want to place this down just centered here on the bucket as straight as possible. Just like this. So I'm going to kind of burnish it with my hands to start. You want to make sure you don't have any bubbles. And then again, you can use that same scraper. And now we're burnishing the vinyl onto the bucket itself. And again, this can also be really tricky. Sometimes it won't want to release from the carrier sheet, so you just need to go slowly and peel the transfer tape back on top of itself. So don't pull up, peel it back, just like this. If you start to see a place where it comes up, you can go ahead and just use your fingernail to keep it down. But hopefully we will have a good experience. Just like that. Again, make sure you don't lose the little dots on your eyes. J there. And that is how you apply adhesive vinyl. Now you can see that both of these are vinyl products, but the way that you cut them, apply them, and all of that is very different. So you want to make sure you're choosing the right material for your project. So before I wrap this video up, let's talk a little bit about what each material is good for. Heat transfer vinyl is generally going to be your go-to on any soft blank. So whether or not it's a garment or something soft like a pillow or a stuffed animal, you're going to be wanting to use HTV. HTV is also good for like sort of porous, harder blanks. So I like using HTV on wood, on canvas, on paper. It tends to stick better than adhesive vinyl. Adhesive vinyl shines when you are putting it on a non-porous hard surface. So if you want to put it on like a metal bucket like this, you can also put it on ceramic, glass, tile, metal, all sorts of things that are non-porous and hard, you're going to be wanting to use adhesive vinyl. Once you're able to identify which type of product you have and you know what type of project you are making, you should be able to make just about anything you can dream up with these two materials. I hope you found this video on the difference between HTV and adhesive vinyl helpful. Don't forget to grab our sample pack of this wonderful B-Flex Gimme 5 HTV. I love that it's low time and low temperature. It's really easy to use. If you have any questions about the difference between these two materials or a project you want to make and you want to know what's the best option, please leave any questions down in the comments. Don't forget to watch all of the other videos in this mega premiere. We're going to be showing you a bunch of different ways to use this particular bundle, and I think you're really going to like it. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. Follow my channel for more crafting content. I'll see you next time.